Welcome back to the next series of tutorials with DAAD Builder. Through this series of tutorials I'm going to work my way through using the adventure that's provided in the manual that came with PAWS Adventure Builder. It's a nice touch of nostalgia that takes me back to the reason for actually starting this project altogether. Before we dive into working our way through that tutorial, just going to look at some of the changes that have taken place in DAAD Builder over the last few days. What we now have in the text files is a lot more preservation of the project details. So there are various sections that are generated which will save the room layout of the visual editor, various other settings that you create, which means you can export the DSF file. It will still build correctly with DAAD Ready, but if you re-import the same file, your settings will come back with you. I've also implemented auto movement for objects. So in the visual builder, if we go to location 1, create an object, add an object, let's call him Patroller. We're going to use it as a define. We will set a noun for him, and we're going to make him an actor. We'll also have a message if someone wishes to examine him as well. This is a patroller. Confirm. Now if we go into the object editor and find our patroller, we can choose use auto movement. This will now generate code for us. So the first option is teleport. In teleport we can select from the various rooms we already have in the adventure. All of the rooms selected go to the teleport list, and then our character will teleport after a certain wait time to each of those rooms. We can set how many turns he has to wait for here. We can set patrol, which is what this character is going to be as our patroller. He has a start location, which is the location set here, which is the room he belongs in, and then he has an end location which we can choose from the rooms we have. We only currently have 2 rooms, and he will wait however many turns we set here before going off to the next room in the series. So if you had 10 rooms 7 to 17, he will then move sequentially through each of those rooms till he reaches the end, and then work his way back through those rooms, doing a patrol. We also have a follower, which we'll look at in a minute. So go back to our visual editor. In room 1, objects, we have our patroller. We're now going to add another object. Let's add a dog. Going to use define for that. We're going to give him a noun. We're not going to fill in the OTX description because these are not real objects. He's an actor, and we're going to have our examination message. This is a dog. Confirm. Go back to our object editor. We now have a patroller and a dog. With the dog, he's an actor, we're going to use automatic movements. This time we're going to use follow. By default, he's set to follow the player around in the game, but we can choose a different flag. So we can have the one that's just been created for us of our F patroller location. The dog will now follow that patroller. Every time the patroller moves to a new room, the dog will move to the new room with him. In the list of flags we just showed, there are other flags that are generated. So the patroller has an auto move toggle. If we toggle that on or off, he will stop making his movements. With the follower also, if we toggle that off, the dog will stop following the patroller. It also has the wait time countdown, which we just set in the box. And we also have this one, which is the direction the patrol is going, whether he's going to the room at the end of his patrol or coming back to the room at the start of his patrol. Let's reset that to patroller location. So that's auto movement. It's a very basic way of having NPCs that move around your game. We've also had various fixes in the interpreter. It now clears screen properly between each room move. It uses sys messages when it should do for the condacs. Previously it used various invented messages for some of its condacs. It should now be properly using sys message. And we also added in processes. When we write our processes now, we can add comments after these to say what the process does, what each of the condac levels do as well. And these will be saved as comments in the text editor at the end of the process. So you'll have a comment here, and a comment at each of the ends of the lines with the condacs. I think that's it for the updates and changes that we have so far. So let's have a look at the tutorial. We'll begin with a new file, and the adventure is called The Ticket. So we'll put that in, The Ticket. I'm going to stick with language of English. We have a nice drawing at the beginning of the PAWS manual of the location that the game takes place in. It takes place starting at a bus stop, inside a park that has a bandstand, a bench, a pond, grassy area, and a tree that you can climb. Going down, they very nicely have a laid out map for us, which is always a great help in a tutorial. So let's start building those locations from the map. Our location 0 is always the introduction to the game. If you'll notice, I don't have a location 1. We still need to have location 1, because if we don't, it's going to mess up the generated DSF file. But we'll take out the information from there. So we need to get rid of this connection, because there is no connection between the missing location 1 and location 2. Select that, press delete. Location 2 is the bus stop. That takes place over here. And we're going to name that to be bus stop. And we're going to turn that into a define. The next location is location 3, so let's add the rest of the rooms. Location 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8, which is up the tree. Go back to our edit mode and we'll edit each of those rooms. So location 3 is called on grass. Location 4 is by bench. Location 5 is a bandstand. Location 6 is by pond. Location 7 is by tree. And location 8 is up tree. Just need to go through and turn all of those into defines. And that one's already been defined. So if we scroll down, we have a description of our locations. It does show the missing location 1 here with no text in there. Location 0 has a description of the ticket, which we shall copy into there. So location 1, and we'll just take out the speech marks from there. Okay. Location 2 is the bus stop. let's copy the description for the bus stop. And I've put that in the wrong place, haven't I? I put the ticket into the bus stop. That should actually be, cut that from there. That needs to go into our location 0, which is off screen at the moment. To there. Right, back to the bus stop. Copy that into our description. And actually we'll just set a define for there as well, in case we ever want to reference that area. Location 3 is the grassy area. So let's select the grass and make that our location 3. Location 4 is by the bench. Location 5 is by the bandstand. Actually, it's on the bandstand. Location 6 is by the pond. Location 7, path curving south and east by the tree. And location 8, sitting on a branch of a broadleaf tree. Okay, so that's all our room descriptions. We can now wire those up. So location 2 goes west to location 4. You should click on the room, select the west compass point and drag that across to east of the other room. 3 goes north to 4. It's actually probably slightly easier just to copy this from the map up here. So 3 goes north to 4 and it goes west to the pond. There's a diagonal connection from the pond to the bench and from the grass to the tree. North from the pond to the tree, east east over to the bench. I think that's not quite worked for some reason. Let's drag that again. East to the bench and north to the bandstand. I think the tree was trying to loop back to itself, which got a bit confused. And then finally we have the movement up the tree. And we need to change this one to be, we go from the tree to up the tree, so we want that to be up and down. Just going to check that in the text editor because I always get confused which way I go for up and down. So our connections, 8, down goes 7, up goes to 8, so that's correct, that's what we want. Okay, so that's all of our locations. They have a description, they have their connections. So if we go down, next section is objects, which we shall do in the next tutorial. So the next thing here from the manual is a suitable time has come for trying out the game. It says you're probably dying to see the FAWS in action by now. Why not? If you work your way back to the bus stop, enter the following lines, you'll get a flying visit around the game. In an actual proper interpreter, you would see all of the room descriptions flash by. We end up sort of flashing through and just coming back to the first description and not really seeing all of the rooms as we flash through. There was an interesting bug in the original manual just here. So when I put this into my FAWS, it kept saying that it didn't understand what I was trying to do. It would end up showing me the inventory, and I was thinking I had a bug in my FAWS, which I was taking ages trying to work out what was going wrong. Actually here, once we've gone north to the bandstand, there is no direction southwest going to the tree. This should actually have been in the manual, south, then west, and down here, south, point west. So if we now copy that into the parser, you won't see it as we flash our way through. Oh, the other thing I've added is the ability to press any key to continue. You can just click on the tab here to press any key to continue, or literally press any key to continue. Paste that in and go. Well, that was not quite what I was expecting. However, I've realised that I've done something a little bit silly. Because the game doesn't use location 1, we need to make changes in the process editor. Going back to the processes in process 6, the game expects you to press any key and then jump to location 1, which takes place here in the very last process in 6. Go to 1. We actually need to change that to go to 2, to the bus stop. Go back to test adventure, press any key to continue, and we'll try that again. This time it executes properly. In the next section of the tutorial, we're going to look at creating objects. We'll move on to that in the next video, and we'll look at how we can make things a little bit easier in DAAD Builder while creating those objects. I'll see you in the next video.